Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the right time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You other give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is that time of week where we have a guest join us and coming to us live. I almost feel like this is one of those, the man who does not need an introduction. You probably remember him most from his time with the Indiana Pacers, multiple-time All-Star, 6-time All-Star, multiple-time All-League player, and you can find him on Untold. Netflix has a new series called Untold that's going back and looking at some big sports stories from back in the day, and they have an episode on the Malice in the Palace, and Jermaine O'Neal is joining us for that. Jermaine, what's going on?
Doing pretty good, brother. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. I have to ask you the immediate thought I had as I was watching this, and we went back to 2004. What in the hell were we wearing?
A lot of things have changed, man. Only if we knew what we knew today back then.
Yeah, it's like one thing I look back on because I remember when the dress code came in and I was vehemently opposed to it. And on principle, I still am vehemently opposed to it in a lot of ways. But I'm 40 years old now. And then I go back and look at some of those clips and I'm like, oh, that's what they was talking about.
The 8XL shirts and jeans.
So I wanted to ask you about Untold. And again, I really recommend people check this out. And I was just telling Jermaine that I am someone who has studied this event many, many times over, but still found myself really learning some things I did not know about, what happened that night from watching it. But I also watched the Quiet Storm documentary that Showtime did on Meta World Peace a few weeks ago. And it was what was illuminating about that was hearing your side of just how you felt over the years and watching as Ron Artest, as his career had gone in the different places he's been and the way he handled his exit from Indiana, which is something that I really hadn't thought so much about. And so I was kind of curious, given, there was a lot of pain I picked up from you and how all that went. I was a little surprised to see you in this documentary talking about it again. So what made you want to share your story in this setting?
Well, so obviously it is a very sensitive topic for me. I've looked to do this doc for about 10 years now. That's just you can never see me talking about it publicly. I felt like, it was almost celebrated when I hear people talk about it, right? It's like this conversation about a night that was really just a tough night overall for everybody that was involved. But it never really got to the real story, right? To understand that night, you have to understand everything building up to it. And when I sat down with directors, producers, nobody really understood it. I wanted to do a film not for the avid basketball fan, right, that knows what this is, but for the person that I'm actually running into in boardrooms that don't watch basketball, but know about the brawl, right? And so when you look at this doc, one of the things that really bothered me was our culture was attacked by an event, right? It was, braids, it was tattoos, it was thug, by some of the most prominent people that I have a lot of respect for, in the media world, that was really quick to judgment, but didn't necessarily have all the information. And that part really bugged me out. And to still be talking about this thing 17 years later, people asking me all the time about the brawl, I just wanted to do something that really put all the players that was involved, all the people, when I say players, and have people, really talk openly and honestly about everything, relationships that night, pre-brawl, and even a little bit post-brawl. And I think we're able to accomplish that.
Yeah, and I think one thing that could be easy to lose sight of as time goes is that was the year for that team. Like, you guys were set up to make the leap that year. I think the other part that I didn't really do the math on was Steven Jackson had just gotten there, right? I hadn't thought about the fact that he was kind of new to the situation, and Ron had been there, for longer, obviously, but I really hadn't thought about like the dynamic of him being the new guy and you being the next guy with Reggie Miller's career coming to an end.
Yeah, we were set too, because we had just had the best record the year before, right? And we were so talented and so young that literally, they threw the ball, we just went and played. Didn't necessarily know how good we can be until we got to the end of the year, and then we ended up facing the Pistons in the conference finals, and ended up beating us for a couple of reasons in that series. I think the most important reason was that they knew who they were, and we didn't quite know. But we knew coming back into that year, because I had all the players come in early, make sure, I think it was like a month early before training camp, to make sure that we were ready to rock and roll, because we believed that we could win it. And that's the reason why too, it's such a sore spot for me, because it's hard to win championships, right? And if you have an opportunity to win it that year, then you have to put everything into it. And if you have any distractions, any other broken relationships on teams, it just doesn't equate to winning it. And that's the thing that happened to us.
And I guess something else that I knew obviously at the time, but hadn't really thought about, that I wondered as I was watching this, is what in the world is going through Rick Carlisle's mind as all of this happens, right? Like a notorious control freak who wants to keep everything under control. Like, hey, he's got this roster. And then all of this happens.
Well, I can tell you this. Obviously, Rick, I love Rick to death. He was a phenomenal coach for us. He's been a phenomenal coach in our league for many years. I still have not asked him. I've had many conversations with Rick, and I still have not asked him, why was I the first person taken out of the game instead of Ron, right? Knowing what we knew at the time, right? You take him out of the game first, you leave, myself or some older statesmen, inside the game, but that never happened. But I would say this, one of the things that I walked away from this doc, because I think it's important for people to know, our executive produced us and put all this stuff together, but we did not, Jack or myself or Ron didn't shoot the doc or Reggie together. We shot all separately. So when I saw the doc, it was like the first time that I was able to hear Ron talk about his struggles mentally and how, adversity takes him over the board, right? And so, that was one thing that really jumped out to me right away, because mental health is something that's not really, it's talked about across the board now.
Right.
But back then we didn't know, right? We knew he had a psychiatrist that was with him all the time. But I think people were, a little bit afraid to talk about mental health because that was kind of like an ACL tear back then, right? It's like the death of a career. But I wish I was able to be as educated about mental health back then as I am today. I think I could have been a better brother, teammate, to Ron, because back then I'm just responding, right? I'm like, what are you doing? Right? Because it was like, retirement one day, music the next day, this day, that day, don't show up that day. And it was just like, it was a lot to take in. And I wish that I had an opportunity to, at least from that perspective, write that part of our relationship.
Yeah, because we just thought he was crazy, right? Like in the parlance and the way that we talk about the time, like what I remember everyone always saying about Ron at the time is everybody loved him and he was the nicest guy in the world and had this big old giant heart. And then he might snatch a camera from the cameraman and throw it down on the ground and then get suspended for a time. And I think you're right. We did not publicly have the tools to discuss that kind of thing at that time.
Yeah, and it's to a point you feel like your heart reaches out to him, because he still has to battle that thing. That's a real thing that you got to live with every day. And it doesn't help when you're on the biggest, brightest stage, in sports, in the NBA, and people have a narrative because of some of the things that you do. So now they're poking at you, right? They're starting to poke at you and get that reaction. Ben Wallace said this in the doc. I can't remember if they kept it in the final version of it, but he said we knew we can get Ron off his rockers, right? And maybe not in those necessary words, but they knew that they can poke at him a little bit and get a reaction. And for me, I wish I was able to have that education to bring him in and keep him calm.
Well, another interesting thing that I always remember, because watching those clips, it's almost like it's an amazing who's who of the NBA at different points when you look at some of those shots. Like, hey, there's Rick Mahorn. Hey, there's Worldwide West, right? Like, you have all these different people that come up. And one of them is Rasheed Wallace, which is not really like, hey, it's Rasheed because he was on the Pistons at the time. But that was your former teammate with the Portland teams that had, shall we say, all that personality at the time. What was it like looking back and seeing then as Rasheed Wallace as Peacemaker?
Well, it's interesting because I had a lot of different, teammates. And I would probably think that I'd be more equipped to deal with Ron because I had, J.R. Ryder, she, Antonio Wingfield, Cliff, the late great Cliff Robinson, and many more. But Sheed has always been a really good dude, right? And again, perception, right? That is out there, right? He gets technical, so he's crazy, he's this, he's that. But Sheed has been a family man who is about his community, who loves to play basketball, but didn't necessarily like people all the time because of that, those conclusions that they've drawn up. And I wasn't surprised to see him do what he did. Now, I got to say thank you to She, because she took out some time to do the interview. He actually didn't make the final cut, and Larry Brown didn't make the final cut. I wish those two would have made the final cut, but we'd have had to eliminate something somewhere, and they made the ultimate decision on a couple of things. But I felt like he knew where this thing was going, and at that point, we needed everybody all hands on deck to try to help stop what was going on in that arena that night.
And I wonder for you, in terms of going back and looking at everything and seeing other people talk about this, like as a producer, because that's a very interesting process to get in there and then try to figure out what stays, what doesn't, what's important, what's not. But that's me talking about doing that with things that don't matter to me personally, right? Like you were producing something that is, for better or worse, in a lot of ways, a defining moment of your career. Like emotionally, what was that like for you to do?
It was hard. It was hard. I mean, you want to keep everything in. I think either way, something, we had to get it in a certain amount of time, get all the information into the doc in a certain, period of time. And, some would have got left out. But it was very personal to me. But mine, it's one of those things where, like, I get it. Like I understand, like the NBA is a very special place for a very select group of people, right? It's a privilege and it's an honor to play in that league. And it is awarded me an opportunity to take care of myself and my family and others for many generations now. The Indiana Pacers, the same way, right? I feel a certain way about them. They gave me the max deal. It was some information out there that they could have used to come to my support, right? And people don't realize, Bomani, that I actually took the NBA to court and won. People think that I served the 15 or 25 games or whatever it was, but I actually went to court, went through arbitration, and then got to a federal court, and the judge said I had the right to do what I did, right? And that was never even spoken about. It was like, okay, we just got to just get away from these guys. This is too much noise. The league is under attack because it's a cultural issue now, all of a sudden. When at the same time in other leagues, baseball, hockey, they are beating the hell out of each other on a nightly basis, right? And that's celebrated. People rooting from the stands. I know it's a different balance between, on the court and in the stands.
But hockey gets up to the stands too. Like, let's not get that part twisted.
It does, right? It does. And we actually use that in our defense, when we went to court to get me reinstated, because it's been a lot of that. But the thing that really bothered me across the board, right? Now I have my peers in a league that's special to me and an organization that's special to me all under attack, right? We under attack because, now we're overpaid, right? We are thugs, right? We have tattoos and cornrows. The league is adopting too much hip hop. When in the world has your choice of music be a description of who you are as a person?
Right.
Makes no sense to me, right? And to hear the people that actually was saying that was like, damn. And we had a muzzle put on us. And what people don't realize, this went on for almost 10 years afterwards, right? So we can't speak about it. We got to take everything that's been given to us publicly, because we have not only all the criminal stuff that we have going on, we have a bunch of civil stuff, right? We had lawsuits galore that we had to deal with. And so, we're left to take whatever it is that people are giving us, and people are coming to a conclusion in ways that was to a point, honestly, hurtful, because you work hard, right, to put yourself in the position to be where you at, and to have people, get on television or take pens or create, conclusions in our communities and far, that's difficult.
Well, an interesting part of this documentary, I thought that was very important. And this has been documented, I think, more clearly than people realize, which is the conscious decision of the media industry to decide who the villains in this story were going to be. Like, if you watch the broadcast on that night and the tenor that you got from the people who were calling the games and even the studio guys, everything changed overnight. There's an oral history of ESPN that was written by Jim Miller, where Mark Shapiro comes out and just basically says, like, hey, we decided that we were not going to attack the customers, which then meant that the attack went to the players. And what I had not really given a lot of credence to, as somebody who like eats, breathes, sleeps basketball, you are a very familiar person to me, but you guys were at a level of fame where largely basketball fans knew who you were, sports fans knew who you were. And this was your introduction to the general audience. And I had not really given much thought until watching it, what effect that must have had on you, that now people who did not know who you were before now know you for this.
Yeah, that's really the main part. I mean, you know, when your character is assassinated in ways that, I mean, people you can't pull up anything else about me, right? But that, right? And in a situation where leaders lead in every situation, right? You have to have that level of sacrifice when it comes to, you know, that level, right? When you're in a facility and people are trying to hurt you, right? Literally trying to hurt you, or throwing water bottles on, spitting on you. And then you look around and we're 10 minutes into this thing and it ain't a soul in there with a badge, right? And so now we're forced to defend ourselves. And on top of it, they're blocking the exits, right? And so, you know, we felt like, again, it's our livelihood that's at risk right now. And when you're in that environment, you're not thinking about, okay, you know, if I do this, then, you know, what does this mean? You like, I got to get out of here, right? And I'm going to tighten up every single thing that comes near me and others that has on a Pacer uniform, right? This ain't about you being a thug or you out here, you know, wearing cornrows or tattoos. You ain't say that when we putting all this money into communities. We ain't getting that level of credibility, you know, in scenarios like that. But yet a fight happens and that is our description for our career. Come on, man. That's crazy to me.
And that was a turning point in a lot of ways for the NBA in the way that they imaged themselves. And I think I look back at some points, and a lot of it I found to be wildly offensive. But other parts I looked at and kind of understood from a really cynical, they're trying to make money sort of perspective, why some of those things wound up having to change. But now, 17 years later, do you feel like you still carry it with you, the idea of the brawl?
I was just in Vegas coaching my son's 8th grade team, and I literally probably 10 people throughout that weekend came up to me and asked me about the brawl, right? And so again, this doc isn't about alienation of anybody or anything. It's about education of everybody and everything that knows about the brawl. And that was what was really, really important to me. Put everybody that was there that night, you know, in front of a camera. Let's tell a story, and then now people can have educated conclusions of whatever it is that they're thinking, not just the slide and punch, not putting in the camera that somebody had just tried to choke slam me from behind, right? Or everything else that was going in, you know, into that night. Now the narrative is, okay, watch the doc and it'll tell you what you need to know.
With Ron Artest and with Steven Jackson, where would you say your relationships with them stand now?
Oh man, Jack is like my brother. I mean, me and Jack, we've been friends since 16.
Yeah, you guys in the same high school class.
Yeah, we've been friends a long time. I was just with Jack in New York. Shout out to him, Matt Barnes, All the Smoke. I was actually with Jack this weekend too. He was here for the Big Three. Ron, our relationship has evolved. I'm gonna be completely honest. I know, you know, it's funny because when I did his doc, what I said about him and how I felt about him, how proud I was of him, didn't make the doc, right? And interesting enough, it didn't make this doc either, right? And so I think it's important to talk about that, that I have nothing but respect for his struggle and how he handles his struggle, because I know now I'm better educated on what he deals with on a day-to-day basis. I did not have very good feelings about him when we played together. Did not. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think that came out in his doc. It came out a little bit in my doc as well. But we all can say maturity is the best part of who we are as people, right? We mature and we learn, you know, and we deal with things a lot better than we would, you know, at 23, 24 years old, when it's about, to me at the time, it's just about winning and being dependable. And at the time, you know, I thought he was just choosing not to be dependable, not knowing that his struggle was anxiety and everything else that came with playing in front of, you know, 20,000 people on any given night, and cameras, right? You know, being in his face all the time. But we're cool. You know, our relationship isn't as tight as me and Jack's, But we definitely have more of a friendship now than we've ever had in our lives.
How long did it take you to get to a point where you could laugh at the idea of him looking at you guys and saying, do you think we're going to get in trouble?
Oh, you talking about that night?
Yes. I imagine that night it was not very funny, but I also imagine that your reaction to that, if I had seen it, I probably would have found it to be hilarious.
So I'm gonna tell you, I was probably on like 1 million when I reached that locker room because I was bleeding. You know, I had lumps from being hit from different things. I was already like I'm about to lose it on anything and everything. And then the police had just came in there right after me trying to take me to jail. Like I'm the sole person they come there asking for. I'm like, wait, whoa, I'm not going with you, brother. Like all of you that's out here doing this stuff, you're trying to take me to jail. And then Ron says that right after. And I just dove at it. Like it was like, bro, what are you talking about? Are we gonna get in trouble? Like this is like one of the worst things to ever happen. And it just so happened to be on national television that night, which was like the worst thing that could have happened. But it was me and Jack laugh at it now. Again, now that we know more about how he handles things, you know, it's more of a situation where we can probably smile at it now versus back then.
Yeah, like I imagine people, you talk about people coming up to you in Vegas and stuff like that. Like I know exactly where I was when my brother called me and told me it had happened, and then watching it. And I literally was up till 3 o'clock in the morning calling people, talking about it. Like when my East Coast friends went to sleep, I started calling my West Coast friends. Like for me, it was that kind of night, but I'm not involved, right? Like I'm just watching the madness from the outside. And I really appreciated about this documentary was it was one of the first times that I really had thought about it from the inside out and just what it must have been like to be in it, and for someone for whom this is not just some measure of spectacle, like this became a significant part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the thing, Bomani, like just like getting people to like be open and honest, right? Every time I called and talked to everybody, you know, the players and other people and even, you know, the directors, it was like, hey, we want to capture the truth, however it comes out, right? The truth is what it is. Let people speak from the heart. I don't want you to narrate, you know, what they're going to say, and being able to tell that story. And I've watched this thing 10 times, literally 10 times. And I get emotional every single time because Indiana is obviously Portland was a very special place to me because it gave me an opportunity, right, to play in this league. Indiana is a very, very special place because that's my footprint. Right, that's where I made a footprint, you know, as a professional athlete, and I saw what it did to the city. In many cases, it made people choose, right? You know, and that shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that in sports, right? Whether it become a cultural choosing, right? On, you know, are they too hood? Let's strip down everything that doesn't reflect to being hip hop, right? An organization that was starving for a championship, right? Was just this close. You know, 2 years before the brawl, or 4 years before the brawl. And now we have that opportunity, right? And I know what those people meant to me, and to see all the questions and all the hoopla of what they should do with players, how players should kind of rethink, you know, how they do things. And again, you know, I would have preferred, honestly, for Ron to fight Ben, and then we have a team fight, right? Because then, you know, it's only like a 3 to 5, right? It's only 3 to 5 game suspension, you know, but it did happen, right? And then at that point, you know, what else do you do, right? And I would ask you this, I've asked everybody I've spoken to about this, if you're put in a situation, it's compromising your livelihood and people are trying to hurt you. And again, you cannot grasp being in a NBA basketball jersey and people trying to hurt you. So what would you do, right? And everybody.
I'm the wrong person to ask. I've always been team players on this one, especially my man at the end, because I was just like, well, I'm from Texas, man. Trespassing is something that we frown upon. Like once it reached a certain point, this was obviously in many ways about defense. And I always felt like once you wind up on the floor, I cannot assume that your intentions are good. That just can't be it. Like that was always my view on it. And it felt strange because I was just getting into business when it happened. When I watched the turn happen immediately in terms of what people were saying about what happened. And I was like, there's no way everybody feels the same way about this. This isn't possible. But it was clear to people that realized what were and were not what was the right and wrong answers on that one. But I never viewed that through a lens of morality of who was right and who was wrong. Like, you probably shouldn't have gone into the stands, but I ain't really about having stuff thrown at me either,
Right. Well, I can say this though, and it really, when people watch this doc, watch it open-minded, and then ask yourself, put yourself where I was, or where Jack was, and even to a point where Ron was, and then come to a conclusion and ask yourself, what would you have done in a situation like that?
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I thought that the documentary did a very good job of humanizing the people who happened to be involved in it. And at that time, like, I would have loved to hear from Larry Brown, because he was in that crazy fight in '62 at Cameron Indoor Stadium, where he kind of started that one. And I've always been curious what Larry Bird thought, because Larry Bird has never struck me as a guy that really had a big problem with people fighting every now and then.
Right. Well, I seen you the rough cut of it, and you'll see what Larry Brown said about it.
All right, I'm with that. That is Jermaine O'Neal. Check it out. Untold. It is on Netflix. By the time you hear this, it will be available for you to stream on Netflix. Definitely check it out. It's a look at the Malice in the Palace. You hear from Jermaine O'Neal. You hear from Ron Artest. You will hear from Steven Jackson, all the major players, and some fans with some very interesting things to say that I wanted to save for the people so as not to ruin the maddening surprise. Jermaine, man, thanks so much. I really appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. No problem. Life is full of stressors. Doesn't matter who you are or what you have. Your life is probably stressful. I know in these times with the pandemic and all kinds of stuff at work, it hits me like it hits everybody else. You may not be feeling down and out and depressed, or like you're at a total loss. But if your stress is high, your temper is shorter than usual, or even if you're starting to feel any strain in any of your relationships, you could probably use the chance to unload. When there are things you can't tell anyone or feel like you can't unload to family and friends, you need to unload it, and that's what therapy can be. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Unload the stressors and get some unbiased feedback. You'd be pretty surprised at what you might gain from it. See if it's for you. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and the Right Time listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Bomani. That's BetterHelp.com/Bomani. Keeps offers a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair. I enjoy having hair. I took a break. I'm back. It's fun. Now, here's the thing about Keeps. They got convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months, meaning you don't have to leave your home. It's low cost. Treatments start at just $10 per month, and Keeps offers generic versions. Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. Prevention is key. Treatments can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so act fast. Keeps helps men keep their hair and prevent hair loss. If you're already entirely bald, Keeps is not the right solution for you. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/Bomani to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/Bomani to get your first month free. keeps.com/Bomani.
This is the Right Time Charity Trivia Tournament. 2 contestants get 5 questions. Whoever gets more right advances. They're allowed 1 multiple choice lifeline. Let's get to know these contestants. Up first, we got Nick Wright, puts the 1 in FS1. Welcome, Nick. What charity are you playing for today?
I am playing for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City. I'm glad I'm not playing against Bomani or against Dominique. I'm glad I'm not playing against Bomani because he knows all this stuff, and I'm glad I'm not playing against Dominique because losing to him would be the low point of my career.
Now I thought it started feeling like a compliment. Like, I don't want to play against you guys because you know too much, but then it ended as an insult.
Nope. Yep, that was confirmed. And
Let's said you put the 1 in FS1. How
correct.
dare you? All right, moving on. I hope you lose now. You don't want to get the host on your wrong side. Now to our returning champion, the man with the plan, my favorite contestant on today's show, Shannon. Too many N's in his name, Penn.
There's a lot of N's.
Shannon Penn.
Yeah, man.
What's up, brother? Who you playing for today?
Yeah, I am playing for the Stuart Scott Memorial Cancer Research Fund at the V Foundation. So I'm playing to fund research into why so many cancers disproportionately affect the African American community. So I'm playing for the V Foundation today, guys.
All right, hey, Gabe, get this man a point off the top.
Yes, sir.
No objection.
Just give him one because I like him.
And
briefly, it's good charity, but I object.
And briefly, can everybody show these shirts off? Because we have Right Time Trivia shirts, and I just want to show that I actually got my friends out here wearing my face on their chest.
Yeah,
like, that's going a long
I
way.
noticed that. I did feel like that was a little much. I knew I was getting T-shirts. I didn't know I was going to have Bomani doing the.
It was Gabe's. It was Gabe's idea, baby. It's branded. It's branded, baby. It's branded.
So, what did you think the first time? Like, not the T-shirts, but the first time I saw the new Right Time image with Bomani going like this, I was like, "Who's that guy?" Like, I've never seen Bomani do this move.
Yeah, I thought it was the promo shot for the Hanging with Mr. Cooper reboot that I thought was.
Wow! I'm not that tall.
Everybody can get it, even if your face is on the shirt. All right, Nick, you're up first for these questions. You ready? So you understand 5 questions coming your way. You can call in your multiple choice lifeline, and I'll give you 4 possibilities. If you don't need it at all, it doesn't matter. You still don't get to use it. All right, First question. Which NBA player is nicknamed the logo because his silhouette appears in the NBA logo? You got to let me finish the question. All
right. Well, the answer is Jerry West. I thought I was nervous to begin with, but now I feel great. Jerry West.
We're just easing you in. All right.
Okay.
Which swimmer won 23 gold medals at the 2016 games more than any other competitor?
Is this still me?
Oh, no, I think I read that wrong. Which swimmer won 23 gold medals up until the 2016 games more than any other competitor? Yeah, it's you.
It's still me.
Yeah.
Michael Phelps.
Well done. I'm surprised you had to think about that one. Just being safe.
Did I use too much time? Is there a penalty on it?
I mean, so the first time I can't finish my question, and this time you
Well, I was just, I wanted to take my time since the question was mangled, and I was like, no one has ever won 23 medals in one game, so I want to make sure it's not some Jedi mind tricking going, let's go.
That would have been impressive, though. You got to cross events to win 23 medals in one Olympics. All right, here we go. In the 1992 Olympics, the Lithuanian basketball team was able to afford jerseys because of sponsorship that they received from this music group. Oh, not that easy anymore, huh?
This music group.
I know it was news to me too. I want to mock you, but this is a hard ass question. I'm not even sure this qualifies as sports trivia or music trivia. Either way, it's up there.
I was like, who scored the most points against Lithuania? I know a lot about the Dream Team. All right, lifeline me.
All right, here we go. Pink Floyd, Bon Jovi, Grateful Dead, Pearl Jam.
Glad I went with the lifeline because my answer was going to be U2 because it seemed like the type of thing Bono might do. So we have Pink Floyd, Bon Jovi, Pearl Jam, and Grateful Dead.
Correct.
We're going to remove Pink Floyd and Grateful Dead.
I like this strategy. It's almost like you have experience on game shows with lifelines.
I feel like it's something. Pearl Jam's kind of weird. They're like, "Hey, Ticketmaster, bleep off." I'm gonna say Pearl Jam.
Whoa, what do you think?
Oh, that means
incorrect.
It's Bon Jovi, isn't it? Is it Bon Jovi?
Nope. It's the Grateful Dead.
Damn,
Grateful Dead?
Yeah, they wore tie-dye jerseys. Like that was right after the fall of the Soviet Union. And so that was a very Grateful Dead-y thing to do.
Yes, the tie-dye does convey a message.
Shout out to Sharudas Marshalonis.
Or t-shirt.
He was on that squad.
All right.
Golden State Warriors legend.
I'm 2 for 2 on sports questions. I'm 2 for 1 on stupid music stuff.
All right, number 4. Which MLB team called Jack Murphy Stadium home until it was renamed Qualcomm Stadium in 1997?
So this is why I almost didn't do this competition. I was really concerned there was going to be a super basic baseball question, and I was going to get it wrong and be exposed.
I got you. So we hit you with a music question. Now we hit you with real estate questions. This ain't sports.
Okay. All right. So the only Jack Murphy I know of is Jack Murphy Bunting. Qualcomm. God dog it. I thought that's where the White Sox played. The Chicago White Sox.
Incorrect. Oh, Shannon's shaking his head. No.
Shannon knows.
You know the answer, Shannon?
Yeah, San Diego.
Well done. You don't get no points for that, but
that's all right. Cool.
You just get to flex on them.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh man, I get myself out
lose.
All right, here we go.
Dog it.
Last one. How many seasons did the Raiders play in Los Angeles before moving back to Oakland in 1995?
That's stupid.
I
should have saved my multiple choice for this one. How many seasons before? How many seasons? Restate the question.
Here we go. How many seasons did the Raiders play in Los Angeles before moving back to Oakland in 1995? Man,
country of origin, please. 8.
We got music. 8? Is your answer?
No, it's not. But judging by your face, I was saying. I guess I can't change it. It's obviously wrong.
The correct answer is 13.
God damn.
Now Shannon walking in like it's Family Feud, and you look up and you only got to get like 60 points. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't got to do that much.
Oh man! So what'd you get there? You got 2?
I got 2.
Nice.
In fairness, I only got 3 sports questions, but I only got 2 right.
All right, Shannon, let's do this, man.
All right, man.
You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Who broke Travis Kelce's single season record for receiving yards by a tight end in the same year Kelce set it? I mean, to be fair, Nick, this is a harder question. I'm just saying this is a harder first question.
You saying it's a harder question is a hint. You just let Shannon do his thing.
Jeez. All right. Single season tight end. Gosh, I can see his face. His name is escaping me right now. Think. What's old boy's name? I'm going. Receptions.
Pressure's getting to him.
It is already.
Bomani, would we consider this a lemon booty moment?
Boy, it's getting
does
tight.
Seem to be a little bit tight.
It is. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking old boy for San Francisco. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on his name. All right, I got nothing.
Okay, the answer is George Kittle.
Wow, Nick did not want to give him a chance to come back around. He shut that door immediately.
It happened in 2018, and then Kelce re-broke the record in 2020. Let's go.
I drew a blank on his name. I knew the team. I knew the dude. Like
you had it all. You had it all, and Nick was like, "No, you have gotten this wrong."
I've never seen Nick that happy in my life. All right.
Okay.
What navigational device is featured in the Seattle Mariners logo?
Navigational. I mean, a compass.
Nailed it. Don't sound so
All right, cool.
unsure.
All right, look, I wanted to make
He
sure.
got a little unsure of himself, right?
Right.
Like you had to get your rhythm back.
Yeah, I'm good now.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go. This next one for the tie. You ready?
All right, let's go.
What plastic animal did Florida Panthers fans throw onto the ice during the 1995-96 season in playoffs?
Florida Panthers. I'm gonna go with plastic animal. I will go with a rat.
Woo! Tied it up.
Yeah,
All right,
man.
2 more to go
Oh,
to
that
take
was
the
right.
lead.
Clutch.
Know that.
Huh? That was what Van
Pro
Beesbrook.
hockey?
Right,
Yeah,
Van
yep,
Beesbrook
yep.
was the goalie.
That's Shannon being a Rangers fan. It just don't come up at work very much.
I mean, you could have said any name, and I would have nodded in my head. Yes, Ben
Missed
Beesbrook. I don't know
George
who that is.
Kittle and got quarter-century old hockey fandom stuff.
Black people watch hockey. Hashtag Black people watch hockey.
Black person watches hockey. How about that?
No,
Shout out to Roy.
shout out to Roy. That's what
Shout out Roy Bellamy.
He the one.
Yeah, when that question came up, that's the first person I thought. Florida Panthers hockey, Roy Bellamy. All right, here we go. Who became the first player in NFL history to rush for 3 touchdowns in a single Super Bowl game?
Al Bundy. Oh, sorry.
Al Bundy had 4 touchdowns at Polk High, right?
You're right.
He wore number 33. All right.
Well done.
3 rushing touchdowns. And okay, I'm gonna go with Marcus Allen.
Sorry, we got Terrell Davis.
Oh.
CJ comes storming in right there, Nick, for the steal.
No, I'll be honest. I would have also said Marcus Allen.
Yeah,
I thought the famous game with the Raiders, which evidently I didn't know what city they played in at the time. That he had 3 touchdowns. All right, so here it is, Shannon. No pressure.
Yeah. No, I built up.
Right, you win. If you're not, you're gonna lose.
Absolutely, I built up the suspense. That's what we do. Look, as a fan of the '90s New York Knicks, this is what we do. We blow it.
Da, da, da.
Yeah.
All right,
Here
here
comes
we go.
Ewing on the finger roll.
Prior to the 2016 Olympic Games, when was the last time the U.S. women's national basketball team failed to win gold at the Olympics? Shannon Penn.
Prior to 2016 women's national team. All right, you know what I haven't used? I haven't used one of my multiple choice, which I waited for my last
I
question.
forgot about him.
Oh no,
Me too.
Dominique,
Me
hit me
too.
with the
I was
multiple
going
choice,
through my
please.
head like, am I allowed to remind him or not? All right, here we go. Montreal 76, Athens 04, Barcelona 92, Beijing 08.
Ooh.
And can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Prior to the 2016 Olympic Games, when was the last time the U.S. women's national basketball team failed to win gold at the Olympics?
Failed to win gold. And my options one more time.
Montreal 1976, Athens 2004, Barcelona 1992, Beijing 2008.
All right, let's see. All right, I'm gonna go with failed to win gold. All right, you know what? Let's have some fun. I'm gonna guess because I'm debating between Montreal and Barcelona. So let's see. You know what? Let's go Barcelona 92.
For the win! Shannon Penn steals it.
Wow. I knew it couldn't be Montreal though. If they wanted to go technicality,
How'd
because
you
they
know?
didn't play in 80.
Okay, yeah. I don't know these things.
No, the boycott was in 80. So I was like, probably can't be 76. I didn't even remember them losing in 92. Look at Shannon remembering America's lowest moments.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Look at Nick, salty as hell over there. He never entertained the possibility he was going to lose.
And especially because the swing question is about the 92 Olympics. Shannon, it just has to remember that when the dream team won, the women didn't. I, meanwhile, need to know nonsense about Eddie Vedder or whoever the hell is in Grateful Dead.
You want to know how I actually figured it out? It was actually because of the 1996 and the push that they had for the women's team in 96 on the heels of not winning in 92. So the 96 team was a big deal.
Now, you know what's happening. Nick grew out his hair and all the mystery went away. And so we tried to give him a softball Grateful Dead question because we figured that came up at your crib. But no. Nick's like, I've been with this black woman for 15 years. I don't know about no
Grateful Dead.
Well, Nick, thank you for participating. I'm sorry that I won't get to do this with you once again because you will not be invited back to the trivia show. Is there anything about the 1992 Olympics that you want to share? You want to flex some of that Dream Team knowledge? Something
Charles Barkley was actually the best player on that team in that in that run, and I can't believe a Qualcomm Stadium. Give me a break. Sponsorship. Is this endorsed by Qualcomm? Hey, Qualcomm, if you still exist as a company, you should donate money to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City. I'll talk to you guys later.
Oh, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this thing 3 times a week. Gabe Bassett and Dave Presley had everything behind the scenes. Dominique Fossworth, the host. Shannon Penn, today's winner. Nick Wright. Something else today. You got a great shirt on right now.
Goodbye.
Remember, follow The Right Time. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And we talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy. Hey, Nick, look at me.
Okay. All right.